Cháirde fáilte agus feitheadh roimhan sa maidin chuig ollscoil teicneolaíochta na Món agus go háirithe ceolscoil Chorcaí an sarmaidin agus nach úntaach an rud é bheith bailithe seo san áirithleán sa nús an líne chun don chódáil simúil agus táchtach seo agus tá súlagam go mine sibh go léir sult agus tarbh as. Friends, delegates, and that is what we all are here as friends in education and in community. A huge welcome to you all here on this sunny November morning to MTU and to the Cork School of Music. I'm sure you'll all agree that it's just so wonderful that we can gather together, whether here in person in the wonderful Curtis Auditorium or online, and this hybrid format is just so fantastic, and to thank all involved in making it a reality here today. It's an important and innovative symposium which I hope you'll enjoy and benefit from. MTU is really delighted to host this first ever symposium of the INHEF. Because when you think, we're talking about acronyms the whole time at the moment, and when you think what those letters mean, inclusive, national, higher education forum, that just speaks so well to what we feel MTU is all about. And it's all about putting our stamp nationally and internationally and supporting access to a breadth and depth of higher education offerings across a range of disciplines and enabling progression to further opportunities along well-defined pathways. That's really, really important to us. And just to acknowledge, I suppose, that, you know, this is no new work here in MTU, and in MTU, and I suppose heretofore in CIT and IT3, there's already excellent work has been done in terms of programmes for inclusion, and just to commend the work being done there. So a number of months ago we've had the opportunity to you know, develop a new strategic plan and also apply, put our case to the HEA, to the Higher Education Authority, for funding in this area, and we will get that opportunity to do so again in the coming months, I would hope. And you know, we already have a strong track record to talk to about that, and I'm very, very proud of that. And you know, I suppose this really, we're, when you think about it here in that national, international piece, to think of, you know, the diverse range of attendees who are here today. We're joined by students, we're joined by graduates, we're joined by educators from all levels of learning, we're joined by representatives of government agencies and representatives of the disability service providers from all over Ireland, abroad, including Europe, America, and even as far as the United Arab Emirates. So that's some achievement for the first symposium, certainly. And you know, it's nothing new for us in MTU and for Cork, but it is a renewal of our commitment to inclusivity and an ambition for further enhancement in that area. I was very struck when you know, looking at the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities and how rights are enshrined therein, because they're not just talking about the right to equal access to education, but they're also talking about the right to equal access to culture and cultural activities. And when you think about it, and I suppose we even realise that even more so now with return to campus post-COVID, is that university and college life is a culture in itself. And that is a culture that should be open to all to participate in. And certainly that is something that's very close to my heart. And that is something in which we are working with UCC, with the Cork ETB, with the Cork City Council in this lifelong learning in Cork initiative that's just been so hugely successful and is a sign of all the stakeholders working together. And as recently as yesterday, in the announcement by Minister Harris, I noticed that he did commend the various stakeholders in Cork as being a shining example of collaborating together for, I suppose, you know, in terms of the higher and further education, or as we move to this tertiary education model. And, you know, that is something that's to be commended, certainly. And my colleagues in the Cork School of Music are very much part of that story. because I suppose we are very, very proud of this building. I was explaining to my friends behind, Kate and Katie et al., that when I was their age, which is many years ago, we didn't have this building. And I was playing violin and doing, trotting up to room 15 for the lesson, or down to the old Curtis Auditorium for orchestra rehearsals and so on. And, I suppose as things developed and we rolled out our degree and so on, it became obvious that we needed a new building. And there was a great team effort, undertaken in terms of getting that building, and a lot of taxpayers' money went into it, and we opened in 2007. And, I do believe, I'm very proud of the way that we've been, I feel the School of Music has been so generous in sharing this marvellous facility with the city and with Ireland and internationally, in a very, I suppose, holistic way. And, there is never a question, even from small requirements for city-based initiatives and activities to something like this. And, you'll have heard it. I would take up Hugh's suggestion, touring the building. It is just a fabulous resource. But CSM isn't just about sharing the facilities. It's also really generous in sharing its time, and it's sharing its people. And just, that is all, I suppose, not only supporting our ambition in our strategic plan in relation to inclusion, but also in terms of, this regional engagement piece, so that in 10 years' time, hopefully, we'll be saying, God, all the hard work we did in relation to establishing the Munster Technological University was worth it, because the Southwestern region is a better place for that having happened. And CSM is very much part of that story, and will, I believe. So, collaboration, this collaboration is so important, and it's here, at work today, and we will continue to keep that engagement going. I suppose it would be remiss of me before I conclude not to, I suppose, acknowledge that events like this don't happen by magical thinking, okay? And I'm very wary of mentioning names, but I hope you'll understand me if I just mention a small number. But everybody who's part of this effort is very much reflected in that. So first of all, Hugh, who you met this morning, right? Hugh has brought this symposium to Cork. It's the first of its kind. He need not have done it. He could have just stuck to music technology, his music technology lecturers, but he has a tangible passion and commitment to access and inclusion and participation. And just to thank you, Hugh, for all you've done to bring us to this day. And I'm sure as well, when staff take on something extra like that, they are supported by a fantastic management team and colleagues in the school. So just to acknowledge Dr. Ciara Glasheen-Artem and her fantastic management team in the Cork School of Music, past and present, and because they continue to facilitate that creativity and innovation in their colleagues. And it's just wonderful to see then this work that's percolating out across, often being led by alumni of the Cork School of Music, people like Owen Nash and so many other alumni of the Cork School of Music, and indeed of MTU, who are working in relation to access and inclusion initiatives, and drawing it all back together, across the 6 campuses, and working with colleagues such as Deirdre Creedon and Laura Coleman and Siobhan Kangataran in Bishopstown, and drawing it all together so that we're all singing with the one voice, no pun intended. So just to wish you a really successful day. I enjoy it. I hope you benefit from it. I'm really looking forward to seeing those recordings in due course. Unfortunately, I have to get back to the office in about, I'd say, 12 o'clock that way, so I will be kind of having to leave, but I'm definitely looking forward to the first session and getting a flavour of the events. So, Buinigid Taravas, may this be not, maybe a wonderful first symposium, and certainly not the last. Gur míle mágaibh.